What is going on, guys? My name is Trey and this is the Tennessee Innkeeper YouTube channel, and in this week's video I'm going to be moving my Camponotus Discolor Colony, both of my Camponotus Discolor Colonies I should say, into these mini hearths that you see on the screen right here. I'm going to go ahead and go through the process of how these nests arrive. As you can see on the screen, they come in this plastic, and in this plastic it's extremely hard to get off. I struggled so much with it, and you'll see that in this video. I'm going to speed it up right here, so that way you're not just completely bored. But basically, it comes wrapped, and then if you order two, they're both wrapped together. You take off the initial wrapping, and then they're both individually wrapped. So it's really, really secure in the box that it comes in. And I really like that about Tar Heel Ants. They really know how to ship their packages and just put their products in the package securely to where they're not going to arrive damaged. It's very rare that products arrive damaged. I'm pretty sure I've never had anything from them get damaged, and I've ordered about 8 packages total. Sometimes they have more than one thing in them. You can go see my other videos of my Tar Heel Ant unboxings to see what I'm talking about. But I got 2 different colored nests here. I got the gray color and the terracotta color, and one thing I noticed that made these ant nests different, these mini hearths different than the ones that I have in my possession now that my Lasius colony is in and my Camponotus americanus colony, is that these actually have vermiculite dusted inside of them. Now, I don't really know what vermiculite is, to be completely honest with you, but to me it's, you know, the way I see it, it's just an extra substrate. I do know that in heat it expands. I don't know how hot it has to be. That's all I know. I was reading that on a bag of the vermiculite I got. So on screen here is the terracotta color. It has nothing in the top. I ordered this one on the ready to ship Formicarium page along with the gray one. This one didn't have anything with it. I just got it with standard glass because I didn't really want to get museum glass. So you're going to see glares anytime these colonies are featured on the channel. But the glare isn't that bad. As you can see, I'm showing the inside of the nest, and you can see all those little sprinkled pieces. That is the vermiculite I was telling you about. I really enjoy that touch. It just kind of adds that extra texture to the nest, and it just makes it look way more appealing than just, you know, standard, I guess it's a grout nest, a standard grout. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, it might be plaster. So now I'm going to show you the gray nest here. The gray one, I have a plant on the top in the outworld area, and I believe there's a rock. I'm currently unpackaging it, and I will show you guys what the inside of it looks like whenever I'm done unpacking it. So yes, there is a rock. I just saw it. You can't tell me there's not a rock. There's a rock and a plant on this one, and the inside is the same. Obviously they are all cut differently because these are handcrafted nests. No nest, I believe, is the exact same. So here's the gray one, there's the plant, there's the rock. I like this touch. I like the white sand on the top. I like having multiple nests of the same thing but with different sands and different textures and colors. It just kind of shows character. You know, I really like that feature in Tar Heel Ants nests. They might all look the same, but you can detail them really any way you want on their website. So here's the inside of the gray one. It's kind of hard to see. I tried to make it brighter to where you could see the inside. Obviously it's a lot harder to do because I'm working in a different area, so you know, I'm trying to get used to all that. Here I'm going to show you guys what all comes with your mini hearths and normally other nests that you get with Tar Heel Ants. So as you can see, you always get a business card. I don't know any products you order that don't come with a business card. I really like Tar Heel Ants business cards. I have so many of them. They're very useful. I recommend keeping them, especially for like nest changes and stuff. These are called nest mates. Now, what you do is you put your finger on one end, you fill the other end up with water, and then you plug it with a stopper. I show later on in this video how to do all that. The next thing is a syringe. You'll always get a syringe with your orders. It's pretty common. It's to help fill the water reservoir inside the nest. That's what those little tanks are. So yeah, here I show you, you just plug one in, and there you go. Water normally lasts about a week or two, and these, sometimes you can get it to span out a lot longer. It just depends on how much water you put in it. and if you actually fill it correctly and then plug it back into the nest properly. Here are some stoppers. I thought it was kind of funny that I got a black one. I've never seen them do this, just have a random black stopper. So Mac, if you see this video, please tell me what that's for. It might just be a different color one. So here we're going to start the moving process. I have my 3/4 inch vinyl tube and both the nests, and as you can see there's a test tube in the back there with the blue piece of paper over top. That's one of the colonies, and then the other colonies beside it, it's in that shiny black tube looking thing to the left of the screen there behind the gray nest. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and set these nests up, and what I do is I plug one side of each nest, so that way obviously whenever you connect the test tube to the nest, the ants don't come flying out of the other side, because that would be kind of funny. I've had that happen before. It's not funny, it sucks. And while I'm actually doing this, I'm going to go ahead and tell you a story with these nests. The magnets on the front where the glass is, those things are really strong. I do not recommend putting two nests face to face for any reason at all. I accidentally put two nests right in front of each other and the magnets were both facing the same way, and it ended up connecting to the other nest, and I actually killed about 5 or 6 of my laciest workers. Luckily no queens were harmed. I hate that I killed the workers. I'm not saying that, you know, it's a good thing it was only workers, but yeah, they tried to escape out of the glass when I was pulling the nests apart, and it killed the workers. So just keep these nests away from each other. The sides even connect, there's magnets in the sides, so just be very gentle when handling these nests around one another. They're not it's not fun cleaning ant guts off the glass, I promise you, and I actually have an imprint of an ant on the glass and the grout part of the nest from where I had to clean it up, so you'll see that in a future video. It's not really something to brag about. I'm not bragging about it. Just, it's a fair warning. Don't put these nests in front of each other. Those magnets are strong. That's all I'm saying. So I got the nest mate attached to this nest. I'm going to go ahead and attach it to the gray nest. Again, this is just me getting prepared and setting both of the nests up for whenever I connect the test tubes with each ant colony to the mini hearths. It's very important to prepare before you start setting up the tubes to connect the test tube to the nest. You don't want to have everything plugged up and then like later on you have to plug your nest mate in because you're going to disturb your colony. So it's best to just go on ahead and over prepare before you start, or even just prepare like normal before you start. So again, I'm just showing you guys the inside of this nest and showing you that you want the nest mate to go in as far as you can get it. Obviously it will keep sliding because the tube is all the same diameter around. So I like to get mine right where it meets the inside of the nest. It was kind of hard to see that in this video, but I will show you guys that in a future video whenever I do a more in-depth review of the mini hearths. I'm not going to go into too much detail on these just because this is for moving my colonies. So here I'm just going to go on ahead and fill the water reservoir up inside of the nest, and you do that by plugging the syringe in the back and then shooting the water into the water reservoir there. I don't recommend spraying this as fast and as hard as you can because you will shoot water on the nest. It has happened to me before. Just take your time with it. You know, you don't need to rush. The ants can't really drink from this unless you overfill it. And I'm not even going to fill these all the way up. I'm just going to do 1 to 2 syringefuls of water. Does that make sense? 2 full syringes of water in these nests. Sometimes I do 1. It just depends on where the ants like to put their eggs and stuff. If they put them on the water reservoir, like my laciest colony does, then I fill it up with more water because they want that humidity. But since I recorded these videos before I'm doing the voiceover, I will go ahead and say these ants, at least in my experience, they don't care to put anything on their water reservoir. They're putting it all against the glass where the heating cable is. So it's again a judgment call. Every ant colony is going to be different, especially dependent on your area and how hot or cold it may be. So this is prime time to go on ahead and put your PTFE preventative stuff on the outworld. In hindsight, I wish I did this before I put the ants in there, because it was very, very hard to feed them at the first day because they were trying to climb out. But you'll just go around the edge, like I'm showing you with my finger here, with the PTFE, and that just adds a barrier. If you don't have Fluon, you can just use olive oil. You can use baby powder mixed with rubbing alcohol. Just PTFE is transparent, so you don't see it like you would the other stuff. So now I'm going to go on ahead and connect my 3/4 inch vinyl tube with my 3D printed 20mm test tube adapter. This is something that I'm in the works of making to try to eventually get to where I can sell, or just give it away with my ant colonies that I sell on the GAN website. You'll see also in this video, whenever I go to attach this colony to it, they don't fit, the test tube rather. The ants are in the test tube. The test tube does not fit all the way inside. I had to force it. This is because I did not take into consideration that I had 2 different types of 20mm test tubes. Some of my test tubes have a lip on the end, and some of them are just flat. These have a lip on the end, so it was a little bit of a struggle to connect the ants. But this is my first Camponotus Discolor Colony. I caught them in April. I caught both of these in April, the same exact day. You'll see that this colony is doing really well, but I'm ready to move them into this nest because every time I go to feed them in the test tube, it is a struggle. So I'm going to start by removing the insert as well as the cotton from the nest. I do this very carefully, but you'll also notice that I just take it and I sling it into the outworld and try to connect the test tube as fast as possible while also putting the top on the outworld. Sometimes this can go really smooth like this transition did, or sometimes it can be very difficult. It depends on the species of ant. Chromatogaster, while they may seem slow, they are very fast in numbers. So if you're moving Chromatogaster into an ant nest like this, just use caution. I've never had my Chromatogasters bite me before, but I do know they do bite. So there's that little rant. As you can see, some of the workers have actually started going inside of the nest part and checking it out to make sure it's safe before they start moving the queen and all their young over. This is really smart to do because, you know, they gotta make sure it's a safe space, guys. Come on now. So here's the colony. I'm just going to go on ahead and expose them to water. It's actually the perfect time that I did this because if you see that little bit of pink right there, that is a bacteria in the test tube. It's not really dangerous per se, but bacteria buildup is definitely not something you want to have. I think they left a cricket leg in the back of the nest, and that's why it turned pink, and the water was just a nasty goldish bronze color. It was super gross. Here's a good shot of the queen with some of the workers and all of the brood. It's a pretty big brood pile. The camera does not do it justice because it's kind of hard to differentiate the vermiculite inside of the test tube insert with some of the eggs. So if you guys could count them and tell me the exact number, I'll give you a cookie. How about that? I wasn't able to count it, so whatever number you say, you get a cookie anyways because I don't know. But they're just going to continue to check this area out, and the other ants are going to probably freak out a little bit inside of the test tube insert because I don't keep these colonies exposed to light. I don't like to because it makes the move into a new nest or a new test tube a lot easier later on when that time comes. But I don't have any covers for these nests, so they're currently sitting without a dark screen. Here's my other discolor colony. I believe this colony is doing a lot better than the colony in the test tube insert, but this colony has also had a whole lot more protein than the other colony, and there's no reason for that. I just sometimes get my days mixed up, so sometimes the other colony gets 2 days worth of honey where this colony is getting 2 days worth of protein and then a day of honey. I try to mix it up. I try to do honey one day and then protein the next. But whenever I move them in this nest, they will have a constant supply of their Biformica sunburst liquid, as well as a protein every day, because that is what I will be feeding them. But as you can see, they're just in an Ants Canada test tube portal with a test tube that I got from Amazon. Very simple setup. I recently moved them into a new test tube about a month ago, and so to move them into this new nest, it's kind of funny. But as you can see, I had an epic fail on screen there, thinking that the large test tube, the large vinyl tube I had would fit the tiny test. Dude, I'm just gonna stop talking. Okay, I'm not cutting any of this out. This is 100%. What you see is what you get. All right, this is raw Tennessee Antkeeper at its finest. So we're gonna be moving this colony into the terracotta color mini hearth. I think this color suits this colony very well, actually. It's a very bright color. Well, it's a lot brighter on camera. It's not as bright in person, but it really sets the colony's colors off. I think it really makes them pop. So I really like this color. I love the gray nest as well, but this one's definitely a winner in my books. So I've got about 2 or 3 ants left in the test tube portal. You'll see later on that what I do is I get a cotton ball and I just grab them up and put them in the top of the mini hearth. This is the best method, I think, other than trying to knock them back into the test tube, but that will disturb the colony in the test tube, so I wanted to make this as easy of a transition and a move as possible. So I went and got some cotton balls, as you see me slinging them in the background. These are going to be what I use to pick up the ants, and I will actually just go on ahead and let you guys see how this process turned out. It went pretty smooth, I think. So as you can see, guys, I've opened the Outworld to the mini hearth. I don't think I got much of this on camera because it was kind of hard to fit everything in frame because I'm using a macro lens, so everything is amplified. But like I said, I just get the cotton ball, I grab the ants out with that, and I just toss them down into the Outworld. As you can see, this one got lucky. I didn't have to grab it, so it just crawled around. And then I think that with the next one, I was able to grab it with some cotton. But while I said this process was smooth, I did knock a lot of stuff over in the Outworld. As you can see, the liquid feeder fell over, and just a lot of mass destruction. So I finally just grabbed the ant with my hands. You can do this, just don't grab too tight and too hard. Remember, ants are very fragile compared to humans, so you want to be very gentle. So in the background you can kind of see me there grabbing up the one ant on the cotton ball. You don't have to squeeze too tight when the ants are in the cotton. They get kind of tangled up with it, so that's why I just slung them into the Outworld after I picked it up. It was the easiest way other than trying to, you know, pull the ant out. I don't see any reason to have tried to pull the ant out of the cotton when I could just toss the cotton into the Outworld and the ant could move freely whenever it was ready. But that is the easiest and best way to move the ants into a different nest if they are stubborn and don't go into the test tube with the other colony before you start moving them. I eventually removed this blue paper from this test tube, just again so that way the light will hit the colony. I believe that this is the best method whenever it comes to moving ants, is using a bright light. You don't want it to be too bright, and you don't want to get it directly on the ants, because that glass test tube, while they're in there, it can sometimes kill them if the light is way too hot. So just keep that in mind. You don't need the light directly on them on the test tube. You just need it about a good 3 or 4 inches above. That's normally my rule of thumb. You can have it higher, of course. It's just really guesswork. So these ants, they were a lot faster to move into the nest part than the other ants were. However, the other ant colony moved into the mini hearth a lot faster. It only took that colony about an hour, the colony that's on screen now. It only took them about an hour and a half to move into the mini hearth as a whole, where the other colony, it took them overnight. So, see, there's a lot more in the Outworld now. They're really digging it, I think. They're really excited to move into a bigger space. I know I would be if I was that ant and I was stuck in a little tiny test tube insert with a bunch of other workers. I would get annoyed. You can see some of the ants are scurrying through the vinyl test tube. Dude, the vinyl tubing. I will get that right one day, I promise. Some of the workers are going through the vinyl tube to check out the nest to make sure it's a safe space. And because ants are very curious, this is awesome to see. They're checking out the nest. They're going to move into it pretty quickly, even though this was the colony that took overnight to move. Here is the colony that is attached to the terracotta color mini hearth. Again, this colony moved in a lot faster than the other one. I also noticed with this colony that you see on screen now, they kept a lot of their dead workers beside the eggs and beside the pupae and stuff. I don't know why that was, because normally, in my experience of using test tube inserts like this, they'll put the dead workers by the food dish because it's the farthest thing away from the colony as a whole, and then you can clean them out and go from there. I noticed these ants right here were kind of trying to pull each other to go into the new nest to check it out, but then they gave up. The queen is not fazed by the light here, which again, super surprising to me, because normally they freak out if they aren't used to light, and they will freak out and start running around, trampling over everything. But this queen took this light like a champ. So here I try to focus on the ants going in and out of the mini hearth, but it was kind of hard to focus because the tube is not completely see-through. So it was difficult to do that. But you can see some of the ants taking a lot of the eggs and pupae and stuff and taking them right into the mini hearth like you see here. It was really cool to watch. I didn't record the entire thing just because, well, it was bedtime for me. I go to bed at a crisp 5:30 p.m. So I had to go to bed. But I did come back and check on these colonies about every hour. Here you can see the queen. She's finally ready to start checking things out. And I'm just going to let this play because I thought it was really cool that I captured this. As you guys can see, the queen needed a little help getting into the nest, so the workers decided that she was taking way too long and decided to just pull her directly into the nest. This is very common in the wild, and with ant keeping, you'll notice that the workers will oftentimes pull the queen into the new area, and that's just because the queen is very hesitant. It's a new space, so obviously she's going to be a little scared, but the workers are always there to support their queen, and they are going to just grab her by the antenna and do what they must with her. Now this colony, whenever they were moving, I noticed they were setting some of their brood halfway to the new nest. I thought it was very interesting. I've never seen them do this, where they will kind of set it down like you see here and wait for another worker to pick it up. But that's what this colony did, but obviously it was super effective because it got them to move. Here I just try to get some good shots of all the ants, whether they were in the test tube still or in the outworld. I kept the nest covered, the nest part of these mini hearths covered from the light, just to make sure that the ants don't freak out and go right back into their test tubes. I find this to be the best method because the ants like it dark. But again, if you don't keep your ants in the dark, that is okay. It will just take a lot longer for them to move, and you know, that's how that is. Also, looking at these ants, I noticed that one queen is darker than this one. The other queen is darker than this queen. But I believe these are both Camponotus Discolor Colonies. If not, I would love some help deciding what type of Camponotus queen this is, or colony rather. And with all that being said, guys, I hope you all have a great day and a great weekend and a great rest of your week, depending on whenever you're watching this video. And we'll see you in the next one. I would also like to ask really quick before we end this episode completely, what colony you guys would like to see in next week's video. My Phenogasters are starting to grow a lot, and I might try to show them in the next video, but I would like to see what all you guys would like. So leave a comment down below, and I will show that colony off next, depending on which one wins. Bye guys, I hope you have a good one.